I'm your host, Nick Pedone, hanging out this week with Cleveland Guardians personality, Gabriella Kreuz. Gab,
what's up,
what
Nick?
is up? Sports Parlor Guardians preview, man. I can't believe that we're getting ready to talk baseball after a long off season of not knowing if we were going to have any baseball.
I know, a little delayed, but better late than never.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to talk Guardians. We're going to break down what they've done this off season. Not that much, but they're going to get a couple key players back, and then we're going to get into some MLB bets with Gab, so that's going to be super fun, especially Guardians bets, because some pretty good odds and maybe some profitable odds on the Cleveland Guardians. So, man, lockout. That was something. I feel like we were like begging every day, like, let's end the lockout, let's end the lockout. And then everybody's like, no, it's not going to end. And then one day it just ended.
I know. I'm glad it didn't go any longer than it did, because I think people were starting to get antsy and just bummed out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's never that fun when you're like,
No.
oh, great, you guys are it's a money thing. And there's a lot of us a lot lower on the totem pole who make a fraction of what y'all make, who are just waiting on having a job.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm glad, I hope we didn't anger our fans too much. And, we didn't delay it too bad. So we're good to go.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that it's back. Like, that's what people should be excited about. And it's a full 162 games again. We're not going to do any, fake season nonsense where the World Series champion people are going to say, oh, well, it was the shortened year.
Right.
I think the best thing is that it's back and people should kind of let it all go. It was ugly, but let's put it in the rear view because we got baseball here in literally just a couple weeks. It's going to be crazy.
For Northeast Ohio, people were saying, oh, so it's not a huge deal. We'd be snowing maybe on opening day originally. Like, we all know it's always cold the first couple weeks anyway. So maybe this works out.
How pumped are you to be back at the stadium?
I'm
Guardians'
excited.
first year. That's kind of like historic. I was thinking about that. Like, you look at the Wikipedia page of all the old team names, like they were the Naps for a little while and like all these different team names, and then like, man, they were the Indians for a really long time, and we're gonna get to see the first ever Guardians.
Naps, Indians, Guardians, baby. Yeah, this is kind of historic. I'm excited just from the aspect of this is cool. It's like an inaugural thing of sorts that I get to be a part of and everybody gets to be a part of. So I think it'll be fun. And I know people have been funny about the name change and everything and the logo. But I really think, honest to God, Nick, if we just win games, I know this city, they're going to get behind us.
I know. So we're doing another podcast, with some of the big play crew that we're on with Zach Plesac. And he, really raised the bar and was just saying how fun this team is going to be with the pitching and that they're all around the same age. So before with like Kluber and Clev, like those guys were a little bit older and more experienced, where it was awkward for some of the younger guys like Bieber and Plesac and Savali who were just getting to the show for the first time.
Yeah.
But now they've all been there and they've all had seasons together and there's like a different level of comfortability. I was like, damn, are we going to do the same thing with the Guardians that we did with the Cavs a couple months ago?
Yeah.
And they start winning some games and it's like the Guardians are fun. Like, who saw this? Kind of out of left field surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't show up in any of the stat sheets, but I've been in baseball and worked in professional sports long enough to know that even just that chemistry thing is huge. It translates. So you just never know. When you get a team to gel, like, it can really propel everything else. So. Yeah.
So another cool topic is the logo and the name.
Yeah.
Like you said, people are torn. I personally like it. I think it's a neat tie to the city. And then the logo, I know we're both fans of the logo.
Yeah, are you? You're on board?
Yes,
okay,
I'm a big wing logo guy.
I wasn't initially, because at first I think it might have just been the shock value of it.
yeah, there definitely was that.
And we were just like, okay. And I don't know exactly when it happened for me, but one day I was just like, no, this is sick. I really like this. And I don't know why or how, but I 180'd completely. And I was like, you know what? I can get hip to. I think it was in acknowledging other logos.
Yeah.
So like if you take it into context and you evaluate there's nothing particularly spectacular about logos in general. They need to be simple enough so that you can slap that thing on anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anything that's too intricate, it's like, all right, well, we're not Picasso here. We're just trying to throw this on our jersey.
Yeah. Exactly.
So once I got, because everyone's like, like, oh, it's like clip art. Well, I mean, look at everybody else's. They're all kind of clip art.
Yeah, I know. Especially like look in Cleveland. The Browns the team is called the Browns. The logo is an orange helmet.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
Like there's nobody's getting like extra bonus creativity points for that. I think that more than anything, it was people's emotional attachment to Chief Wahoo.
Yeah,
which I understand, but and people are so mad sometimes. They're like, well, I'm not coming to any games. Honestly, I don't. It was really, I think, pressure from Major League Baseball, not so much. And you know, a change could be a good thing. A fresh chapter could be a good thing. If we win the World Series, what do you think about that now?
Yeah, what do you? Yeah,
I mean, maybe the curse is broken. Maybe if we have all these good changes and we have a fresh start and a fresh team and a team that gels, like, could you really be? Are we gonna be mad about it forever?
I know, and especially like you mentioned the World Series thing, and even like when they make the playoffs and you see the guys like after the game, you know, the final game, they get to put on the shirt when they clinch and it has the logo on it.
Yeah.
And as down as people are and they want Chief Wahoo, they miss the old C, like whatever your gripe might be, people are going to go out and get that stuff because it's still a Cleveland team and we're still going to support either way. So yeah, I like the logo, man. I think for me it was, I always kind of liked it, but then like when you go into the team shop and you see it on like hats and jerseys, it's like, man, we got a logo. Like for how long did we just roll with a C? Because Chief Wahoo was like, okay, we're kind of like, they phased that out, you know, for so long.
Yeah.
And then we just rolled with a C for a long time, which is cool, but yeah, I don't know. I think I just like that it's a logo.
Yeah, there's something about the wings that I grew to really like. Maybe it's the Guardian, and I like that Guardian can be interpreted so many ways, like as a protector. And I'm a spiritual person, so I'm like, this gives me a little Angels in the Outfield vibe. Like we're the Guardians, we got these wings. I was named after the Archangel Gabriel. My name starts with a G. We're Guardians. I'm like, this is all kind of cool. I'm about it. Like, I don't know. There's something interesting, transcendental about it.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm a fan of the wings. I don't know. There's and everybody has their own creative interpretation. That's the thing. That's how art works.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the logo, we should be too hyper fixed on it to begin with.
No,
but that being said, I'm a fan. I'm ready to get my gear.
I'm a fan too. I hope we're converting people here.
I know. Hopefully.
And it was like I was also a fan of the script I for a really long time. So like the G is super dope too, just because like it's something different than the C. Like the Cavs have a C, you know, the Browns don't really.
Yeah.
But it's just something different. So I like that they're at least owning it. You know, they're not just like, oh, you know, we're just going to do another interpretation of the block C, or the block C is here to stay. Like they at least leaned into it. Like, no, we're owning this. Like it's on the sleeve and everything.
They were like, we are changing this up. And I like the spring training uniforms. I think everything looks good so far.
Yeah, I know. They did like the video shoot. I saw that on Instagram. Like the jerseys look great.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that too. Like you look good, feel good.
Right.
Feel good, play good.
Yeah, and a little change can do that for you.
For sure. So let's talk about free agency. They haven't done much. I think that's like the gripe out in the streets is, oh, they haven't spent $1. Well, they kind of did. They avoided arbitration with all the players, which is a good thing because that extends the time that some of our favorite guys could be around. You know, the Shane Biebers of the world. Yeah. You get to see another year. Also, the bigger news, though, is it sounds like they're working a little bit behind the scenes to extend Jose Ramirez.
Right.
How fun would that be?
I mean, I think that is a smart move.
Yeah.
And for this city, a very fun move. We've seen Jose in all of his progression, and he's just such an exciting player to watch. He brings the swagger. He brings the consistency. And yeah, we need this dude to stick around. It'd be great if we could.
I know.
Yeah.
It really would. And I feel like it would. A lot of people are like people just love grasping to be angry at anything, and people are still angry about the Francisco Lindor thing.
Right.
Like, understandably, he was a lovable guy.
Yeah.
And like we would have loved to see him stay in Cleveland, but it was never gonna work out, and it didn't. Yeah. But I feel like they could make good on so much of all that to just keep Jose in a Guardians uniform.
Yeah.
Kind of make him the pinnacle face of a new franchise, so to speak, a new team.
Yeah, that would be really great for us. I agree completely.
Yeah.
He's been the heart and soul in a lot of ways, just a leader by example in so many ways that and he's fun. You know, I was watching the video of him on did you see him looking at his bobblehead?
No, I didn't.
They got a reaction of him like looking at his bobblehead, and it's just so cool because it's got like the headband in his hair, and he was just so excited to open it. So I'm like, yeah, he just brings that that edge and that swag. And,
For sure.
We've all grown to appreciate and love the guy. So, of course, you want him to stick around.
Yeah, I know you appreciate, too, like, think of like experiences in the ballpark, like
Right.
the Jose, like that little song chant.
The
like
crowd's behind him,
Yeah.
and we're just always waiting for a miracle when Jose comes up to bat.
For sure. Yeah, you know that he's capable of anything.
Yeah.
How about some of the younger guys? So we were talking a little bit before the show that you've got your eye on kind of some of the young prospects that could be working their way up and some of the people that we've never heard of before, for the common fan. So kind of like, especially, Ernie Clement was a name that we were talking about. What are you looking at for some young Guardians that could kind of break out this year?
Yeah, I kind of feel like if Ernie gets the opportunity, he could really have a breakout season. He's so athletic. Like, if you watch videos back of him at the hot corner this past year, he just makes quick, incredibly athletic defensive plays that are amazing.
Yeah.
And, if he could get it together at the plate, and it looks like from spring training, his numbers look really good right now. He could be a good guy to have in the infield for us. So, yeah, I could see him having a breakout season. One interesting thing I was reading up on was this younger guy, Stephen Kwan. And interesting player. Zach Meisel wrote an article and was kind of detailing how his numbers have evolved in such a positive way. Like, he's very patient. He's always had a really good, good at drawing walks. And his strikeout rate has greatly improved, too. So, in climbing the levels from single A to double A and triple A last year, they've worked a lot with him on making harder contact, which he's not only been able to do that, he quadrupled his home runs. 3 to 12, and that's going up the ladder, so the competition got better.
Right.
But he also improved his strikeout rate and his walk. So I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
That'll play.
So he's been doing really well, and then his spring training looks good so far too. So I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. We've always, our outfield, we've always been trying to just make sure we have a solid outfield.
Yep.
So he could be an interesting player. Maybe he joins the club this year, the big leagues. We'll see. But regardless, it's kind of fun to keep tabs on some of the younger up and coming.
And too, with like in Terry Francona's time as a manager here, like those kind of guys are always popping up in like June, July. Like you find a guy, they catch their way onto the major league roster, whether it's due to injury or in the last couple of years, COVID or whatever, and they find a way to stick through the rest of the year, and they like turn into really promising pieces. And I get that that's how baseball works, but especially with Francona and the Indians / now Guardians do such a good job with their internal farm system. But especially if he could come up to the plate and start hitting some bombs, I feel like that's what we need.
Right. So I'm trying to think.
What about Josh Naylor? We were talking about him a little bit
We'll
before.
get some people back, hopefully. And Naylor, it looks like he's supposed to be playing spring training games this week. And he's another brings the energy, brings the passion.
Sure.
He's an athletic dude. I think we were talking before this. I mean, he's also versatile. We could use him besides just the outfield.
Yeah.
Depending, like first base or whatever. So I like his energy, and you want to see him have a good year too.
Oh, same. Especially his injury last year was so heartbreaking. Yeah. Just because obviously it was gruesome, and we've all seen the video. His leg went underneath him.
Yeah.
And,
so
you
bad.
never want to lose a player like that. Any player, but especially a guy like him that plays with such passion. And we say it. This has almost become a cliche, but plays with a chip on his shoulder and plays so hard.
Yeah.
And he was playing so hard, just trying to make a play, and he hurt himself that way. So man, if he could come back and have a bounce back year, that'd be awesome. Because you look at plate production. I mean, he hit 253 last year, 7 home runs, and then obviously his season fell short. But
he was no scrub. I mean, he brought it.
Yeah.
I thought, and I feel like he has room for improvement. So, and he seems like the type who has that mentality, like the perseverance factor, you know what I mean? The resilience factor.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the game is mental because it is a game of failure. So some people bounce back a little quicker than others, and I wouldn't be surprised if he bounced back really strong.
I think his brother's in the system too, right?
Right, yeah. I don't know how far back he is or whatever.
I think he's a little bit back. I went to a Rubber Ducks game last year, and he was the Rubber Duck, so it was super cool to see.
So he's not super far.
No,
back,
and they call him up to the plate, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a familiar name." People kind of engage a little bit more than they do with the rest of the players. Yeah, so probably cool for him and maybe makes the rehab just a little bit easier, like knowing that you got family there. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Fun stuff. Well, we know the one thing that'll be a constant is the pitching. It's a pitching factory, year in, year out.
Yeah.
But this year in particular, Bieber, Savali, Plesac, Tristan McKenzie. I think we could be in for the Tristan McKenzie breakout year.
I know.
And nobody's talking about
he was already
that.
last year just like crushing it. I forgot what. There was some kind of history he made.
Yeah.
Remember there was something. In,
game with all the strikeouts. That's all I remember.
It was like the highest for his age, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, so if he was able to improve that fast, even in the span, and that's another thing when I'm talking about the resilience factor, he was a guy who got sent down, came back up, sent down, and he was bouncing back. Like he was really, he got it together and really improved. You can tell he's got that focus and that determination, and I think he really, there's a place for him for sure.
For sure. And he was a blue chip prospect, right? Like he was like one of the people to watch for like years and years and years. So we finally saw flashes of it last year.
Right.
And like you said, he had that historic game that neither of us could.
Yeah. I mean, he has it. When he's got it, he's got it. He just got to work on that consistency. And I'm sure he's worked this off season, and I'm sure he'll be really determined.
It's got to be crazy, especially we're going to get into our bets, so we'll kind of peek ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
But you look into like some of these other teams in the division and then other teams in baseball, like the White Sox, they have bats. There's no question about that. The Twins have a bunch of players and they did a lot in free agency. The Tigers got a lot better. But you look at our starting rotation with some of these other teams, and it's like, damn, I'll put those guys kind of up against anybody, Like Shane Bieber against the White Sox. All right, I trust it. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, and they all have this good, going back to that gel factor, they're around the same age, they're all pushing each other, they all I think that it's the greatest place to be when you've got all these people with the ability level.
Yeah.
Like they're all, I don't think it's like Shane and then the rest down here.
I know.
I think they're all about right here. You know what I mean? So
That's
I think.
scary.
I know. I think, and it's exciting.
Yeah.
I think with their dynamic and pushing each other to get better and playing to each other's level, that's only going to create something more magical.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see how, and then that sets the tone. Your offense wants to back that up. I mean, hopefully if we could just get that offense to really, support what the pitchers are doing.
Yeah, that's the biggest question mark because you're going to get pitching on a nightly basis.
Yeah,
like
for
even,
sure.
Even in the event, in any sport, you're going to have injury where a guy, needs a couple nights off.
Yeah.
But man, they're going to call up the next guy that's going to go out there and deal 5 innings and you're not really going to have to sweat it. So it's really just up to the bullpen, which is another kind of question right now, as well as the bats. Just give these guys some support and we'll be all right.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the bullpen? Obviously, there's big names. Like Emmanuel Clase is another guy that could have a really big year.
He kind of gives me Andrew Miller vibes a little bit. Because when he comes in, now he does have to master his consistency, but I got the same vibe of when he came in, I felt like it's over. Because he just brings such heat. He's so he has the capability to be so dangerous.
Yeah.
And to finish it for us. So he's another guy we're looking for some consistency from. Because remember Andrew Miller, he would just straight up, as soon as, you would just get this breath of relief, all right, finally it's Miller time, because we know this dude's about to finish it for us.
That'd be so fun too, just back and Andrew Miller just retired too, so kind of fun to reminisce about those days.
It was cool to watch some of his highlight stuff back, because I'm wow, remember that?
Yeah, at the park, he would come in for that final out and everybody would just stand up because they know the celebrations about him. Yeah, it was it was as sure a thing in sports as you can get as when he came up there and was ready to close the thing out.
And it's wild. I didn't realize how spoiled I was, because that was my first year with the Indians.
Oh, really?
And that was my first year, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. And then when he left, I didn't realize how difficult it is to be a closer.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I just assumed you just came in through heat like this guy did all the time, and then it was just over.
Yeah, he was incredible. I mean, that was I feel like, and sometimes in sports there's things we'll tell our kids about that, but Andrew Miller was one of those, and they'll look at us like, no, you're crazy, but this guy came up to the plate and you knew the game was over.
Yeah, it was wild. And I think Class A has a lot of that power, obviously, and that that grit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you could throw 100, you got something going for you.
So if he could just like control that. I mean, it's tough to be a closer, I think. Because you have to realize too, it's just like sometimes the weight of the world can be on your back, you know? And I don't know that everybody quite understands like the mental. The other thing, because I was talking to Nick Whitgren one time, and he pointed out something interesting too, is that with coming in at the end of the game like that, it's like you got to know how to manage your emotions so that you're not too emotionally drained by the time it's time for you to shine. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to be sharp at that time.
That is tough.
So you don't want to, you know, like for Karinchak, for example, not to diss him, but you can tell he's a ball of energy, right? Yeah. So if you're a ball of energy all game, waiting for you to go on, and you're still expending. It's taxing mentally and physically. Yeah. So I would really love to see him kind of work on, you know, how do I bottle and channel and turn it on at the right time? Because sometimes you can see it in his mannerisms and his whole body language. He's said, you know, it's just my style, but I don't think it's sustainable. I think maybe with more experience, he'll be able to, you know, contain it a little bit and be on when he needs to be on. He's another one who has a ton of like potential, obviously.
Yeah, he's a nut. He's one of my favorite players, like ever. Just, like, and he's only pitched here for like a season. Right. But he is. And you don't want to
change what makes him him. Yeah. But it's like I was really interested to hear from a veteran like Nick say that the whole point about it's a lot of games, and not only that, you're coming in so you're waiting it out. That's a lot of time that you've got to just work on staying relaxed and focused, but really almost to be able to control when you're going to turn it on. Yeah. Because if you're on all the time, you could get drained by the time it's for you to shine.
Yeah, for real. And with Karinchak, he's a nut. I mean, he thinks he's Charlie Sheen in Major League, which there's nothing wrong with that because when it's fun, it's fun. But that is interesting advice from Whitgren, who's obviously been around for forever and has been like a respected closer. So hopefully left some parting words with the young pups to kind of settle everybody down. Because Clase has some of that too. Like, I'm going to go out there and throw 100.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Clase, he's not as like
jittery.
He doesn't seem as amped as Karinchak. Yeah. But for sure, he's got that like that power energy about him, you know? So
yeah, definitely. Fun stuff. Yeah. All right, last thing before we get in our bets. Terry Francona's back. Yeah. Can we just take our moment of appreciation?
Wow.
Tito back.
Tito. Jeez. He's such a warrior. Yeah. I think there's just so much he's been through, and he's, you know, not super vocal about it, but he's battled all these health issues, and he's just, he's such the glue to the team. Like everybody, he's been around so long. He's so respected, and he really knows how to bring a team together. He has such a special quality in that. So it's great to have him back.
Yeah. You talk about like a guy like Tito. You talk about it in football a lot with like just like football guys. Like John Dorsey was a football guy. Like he chomped his gum, wore his hoodie. Like Tito is such a baseball guy. Like we took Tito away from baseball for a couple of months last season, and everybody was like, "Man, like that could have been it." And nope, he's back.
Yeah,
like,
thank goodness.
Keeps him going.
Because everyone, I think it was like sad, you know.
Oh
it's not the same
for sure.
Without him, so you hope that he can just keep kicking it for as long as he can.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of the great managers of our lifetime. And we've had him in a Cleveland uniform for a while. It's been a lot of fun.